The following video took place in Jackson's living room, and he was home alone due to his girlfriend Lainey being at work. Jackson decided to take this alone time to play on his gaming console, considering he usually didn't have the time to have some fun on it. However, his relaxed state would not last for long. He played his first few games and everything was fine. He even won both of them without conceding a goal. It was when he was choosing the jerseys for the next game, though, that things took a turn for the worst.
I'm proper freaking out a little bit here, right? Lainey's at work, I'm home alone, and Lainey's glasses on the counter there have just moved across the counter, and what? Nah.
According to Jackson, with no video evidence, Lainey's glasses traveled across the counter by themselves. Worried that it would happen again, he decided to pull out his camera with hopes he would capture proof. And fortunately, the plant pot did the same thing, this time whilst being filmed. Jackson sent the footage to Lainey, and she was in utter disbelief, but needed to finish her shift. No updates were given beyond this point, and we are left full of questions to this day. On September 21st of 2024, Franco, a young Spanish man, was asleep when he started to hear some strange and unexplainable noises coming from downstairs. Jumping to immediate conclusions, Franco believed that this was a burglar, and ready to put up a fight, he tiptoed down the stairs. Shockingly, after searching the entire first floor, no sign of any human was found, and Franco went back up to his room. It was at this point that he heard even more noise and went to investigate for a second time.
May daga yata dito. Hindi ko makakaluskus. May nakapasok na daga ah. Uy. Biglang gumalaw. Biglang gumalaw yun. Shit.
Just like the first time, there was no burglar in sight, but what he found instead was no better. The chair started rocking on its own accord, and straight afterwards, some sort of speaker flew from the counter. Understandably, this struck a lot of fear into Franco, and he sprinted back to his room before coming up with ideas of what action to take next. He settled upon calling a ghost hunter, and they agreed on a price of $200. The hunter was very experienced, so it is likely that he got the job done. The usual reaction to a ghost encounter is flight mode. As you probably know, the body has 3 modes that it enters when under threat, with them being deemed fight, freeze, or flight mode. In the instance of a spiritual encounter, fight mode would involve trying to combat the ghost, freeze would be standing still, in pure shock, and flight would be running away as quickly as possible. The rarest of the 3 is freeze, so the following spirit must have been pretty frightening to have caused it.
Okay, I just heard a really loud noise from the kitchen. It looks like it's only that. That little thing. Oh, yeah, that is loud. I thought the cooker had fallen over. Guys, I haven't even got a camera set up over here. Is that it? Okay. Yeah, well, I'm not going out the garden just yet. It scared the crap out of me. I almost jumped again when the boiler came on. Okay. Back up. That was me, by the way, that was me. I'm gonna back up into the corner. Screw it, I'm going to Right. I don't know what to do. Hang on. Duck under here. Do something else, man. Let me get under the table.
All sorts of items in the kitchen started to act up and mellow. The YouTube creator who uploaded this video was so frightened that he ended up backed into the wall. Towards the end, he even went as far as taking cover underneath the table, which showcased that he had a genuine belief that he could have been struck with an object that day. The time was approximately 11 p.m. at night, and a father and a son were both in bed. It didn't take long for the son to fall asleep, because he was only a baby, and it was getting quite late. However, the father was struggling heavily, and pinned it down to some sort of eerie feeling surrounding him, although he didn't say that because it would have been rather embarrassing. After staring at the ceiling for quite some time, the father felt some sort of tug on the bed, and the baby started to cry after being woken up. This is when he decided to pull out his phone in order to capture what was about to go down.
Ahorita ya estábamos dormidos y mi bebé empezó a llorar de la nada y se empezaron a escuchar cosas como llantos. ¿Escuchan eso? Es que no me creían que se estaban escuchando cosas en mi casa. Vente, mi amor. Vean, el control está aquí. Yo estaba volteando para cargar a mi bebé porque se están escuchando muchas cosas. Vean, escuchen. Vente, mi amor. Vente, bebé. ¿Soy yo? ¿Soy yo, se movió eso? ¿Se alcanzan a escuchar también?
All at once, the television activated, the keys moved by themselves, and the door came off his latch. And the chances of all three of these things happening simultaneously was extremely low, meaning that it must have been a spirit that caused it. Unfortunately, this was going to be proved shortly though, and this was not the end. For about a minute, the father and son got some peace, and the father even explained that the cold feeling vanished for this period. However, moments later, the dark activities returned for a second time.
¿Se alcanzan a escuchar también? Son como pasos y yo sentí que se movió eso, pero no sé. Vean, o sea, yo estaba volteando para... Escucho algo allá. Escucho algo allá de aquel lado. La pantalla esa solo se paga con este. Y yo estaba volteando en eso. ¡Oh, cabrón! ¡Ah!
This time around, noises could be heard from the bathroom, and when the father decided to investigate, not only did something fall from his bedside table, causing the dog to wake up too, the door was slammed in his face. This practically proved that what was happening was the cause of a ghost, and this time it was undeniable. He still had one more fright in him that night though, and it led to him leaving the house entirely.
¿Eso? ¿Qué fue lo que se escuchó? ¿Vieron eso? ¿Vieron eso? Solo lo vi yo. No, sí me tengo que llevar a mi bebé de aquí.
This time, a broomstick attempted to hit Jackson, and he decided that enough was enough. After this incident, he grabbed his baby and stormed out of the house to the car, driving the two of them to his girlfriend's house, who agreed to give them a place to stay for a week. Unfortunately, despite relocating, this did not stop the hauntings, and actually bestowed them upon his girlfriend's house too. All sorts of banging noises could be heard echoing around the house, so his girlfriend decided to come and sleep in the same bed as him. It was at this point that he filmed the last known sighting of this spirit.
Escuchen. Es que otra vez están escuchando demasiadas cosas. Son como risas. Y mi bebé ya está aquí dormido. Ya por fin puede estar su mamá aquí con nosotros. Estaba ella en el hospital, pero ya pudo estar aquí con nosotros. Y agradezco demasiado porque ya me puede ayudar a cuidarlo. Y yo salir a ver qué es lo que... ¡Ay! ¿Vieron eso? Es que les digo que siguen pasando demasiadas cosas. Vean, pareciera ser como que aventaron eso. La puerta parece como que se está abriendo, ¿eh? Vean, de este lado no hay nada. ¿Qué es lo que quieres? Hoy decidí tener esto a la mano. Es el Spirit Box, porque realmente créanme que ya estamos cansados de que nos...
He managed to capture the movement of a balloon, as well as the noises from downstairs, which was enough to convince the local church that this was a family in need. The priest agreed to bless all three of them before sending them back on their paths. Jackson and his girlfriend decided the best way to move forward was to never mention this again. During a seemingly normal night where Juliet was babysitting her brother whilst their parents were abroad, the duo got up to all sorts of things, from playing with toys to watching the baby's favorite TV show together. It was very apparent how good of a sister Juliet truly was. However, one thing happened that night that was completely out of her control, and it exposed the poor baby to some very frightening events. Fortunately, with the baby being of young age, it was unable to understand the seriousness of what was actually going on, so continued to play with his toys as if nothing was going on. However, when Juliet entered the room full of noises, she saw some unexplainable things happen, from moving toys to some sort of ghostly shadow, which could not have been casted by anything else. She made sure to stay near the baby at all costs in such a dangerous environment. Hurricane Helene was a devastating tropical hurricane that caused widespread damage in the southeast of the USA during September of 2024. It was the strongest recorded hurricane to ever strike the Big Bend region of Florida and the deadliest to occur in the United States since Hurricane Katrina in 2005. Anyway, moving away from the facts and back to the story, the video that you are about to see was recorded amidst the aftermath of such a deadly hurricane, which explains the absolute mess that the streets appear in. The woman filming was simply on her way to work and wanted to record the hurricane aftermath because it would more than likely get views. However, little did she know that she would capture more than just a dump.
It smells really bad through here. Rotting. Really bad. Oh shit. Is this for real? Oh, it smells so bad. Yeah, I'm gonna go up here. Ugh. You guys, I had to walk away. It's really stinky.
After strolling through the hurricane site and realizing what a horrible state it was in, the woman was somehow lured into approaching a small pile of dirt. When next to this dirt, the phrases, and here could be heard by some sort of male voice. And after some analyzing, I believe that this must have been the voice of a hurricane victim. And after all, it is the most logical answer considering the circumstances. Mukailo was a young ghost hunter who we have taken a look at in one of the most recent videos on my channel. He was new to the profession and only just discovered his love for it. However, his second mission definitely put him to the test. As a recap for that last video, several paranormal events happened during Mukailo's visit to the haunted house, but fortunately, these paid the bills for him. That did not take away from the sheer fear he felt on his mission though, and the third would be no different. After posting the clips from his first hunt onto social media, his inbox was flooded with frightened customers begging him for his services. The business simply could not fail. In fact, someone offered him a fee of $4,000 if he was able to banish a spirit from their property, and he took them up on this offer, which was where he came across the stuff I am about to show you. It is safe to say that whatever was in that house was not trying to keep itself hidden. Strangely, the cabinet continued to open and close without any human interaction, and Mikhailo made sure to catch every bit on camera for his necessary documents of the mission. The only box that he was unable to fill was the type of spirit box, which he was not an expert on, but he continued his search, desperate for greatness. Mikhailo set up base camp in the room of which the incident happened and decided to fall asleep there, half hoping that the poltergeist would cause some commotion and wake him up. Well, half hope or not, his wishes were granted. As you could clearly see, the room was much messier than it was beforehand, and the cabinet went as far as collapsing on itself. Now, a common theory regarding this site was that the cabinet just lacked stability, but pairing this with the fact that the drawers and doors were opening on it earlier, this was probably not the truth. At least Mikhailo knew one thing. This spirit was classified as a demon. No other ghost could cause as much mess and chaos as this one did. In the following video, the victim, Tyler, tried his absolute hardest not to give the poltergeist in question any form of attention. He learned a long time ago that this is all that ghosts seek, and if it is not handed to them, then they will find a new family to haunt. However, doing this sounds much easier when put into words, as it is next to impossible to put your mind off of something so disturbing. This struggle was relatable for Tyler, as you are about to find out.
Okay. I need to go to bed. But I can't turn on the light, can I? Oh, I should turn on the light just in case, because this is happening. Left and right. Alright. Not fucking joking. Not shitting. Not shitting your britches, bro.
Despite trying his absolute best not to feed the ghost with any fear or belief of his, this plan eventually failed as he gave in and took out his camera. Tyler claimed that he had no clue what took him over, but he heard a voice telling him that this would garner views and money, putting the success above his general safety. After he explained this feeling to his therapist, they recommended that he go and seek medical attention immediately and reassured Tyler that everything would be fine. As an audience member, this is hard to believe. Losing a loved one is difficult, very difficult, especially if they are belonging to your immediate family. Pablo, the Spanish male in the upcoming clip, had been left in this state when his father had passed away in a car accident. The dashcam footage clearly showed that it was another driver's fault though, but the police were adamant that Pablo's father was the cause, not even attempting to seek justice for him, which angered Pablo and the rest of his family very, very much. They would down-talk the police in every way possible and wrote articles to several newspapers claiming that they were lazy. They could not be bothered justifying the loss of a man who was no longer walking the earth. After several months of pain, though, the family gave up and accepted that Pablo's father would never be served with justice. But the man clearly had something to say about this. Have a watch.
¿Recuerdan el video de la oficina donde se escuchaba un niño diciendo yo soy malo? Pues parece que me traje esa madre. Chequen esto. Es la segunda vez que se escucha que están tocando. Mira, están toque. No hay nadie. Que no digan nada.
On a random Sunday morning, Pablo heard some knocking at his door, and after checking, there was nobody on the other side. At first glance, this seemed to be a ding-dong ditch stunt by some teenagers, to which Pablo would not be annoyed. He loved seeing children enjoying their childhood, and he would have done the same at that age. However, after reaching the clip, he noticed a very weird detail. His dog reacted as if someone was still standing by the doorway, despite there clearly being nobody present. This whole story concluded in one huge mystery, and it is up to the comment section to solve it. What we know for certain, though, is that whilst this event was up for interpretation, it was not for long, because just 2 weeks later, another clip was uploaded by Pablo, and this time around, it was far more promising.
Otra vez están escuchando ruidos, pero ahora vienen de aquí de la oficina. Se escuchaba como que arrastraban cosas o movían algo, pero no se ve nada. La neta sí me da miedo. Y ese pinche Superman no estaba en el piso, güey. ¿Hay alguien aquí? A la virga, güey, ¿qué pido? ¡Hijo de su puta madre!
Several objects in the room started to move by themselves, including the skateboard, and this was undeniable proof that he was dealing with a ghost rather than a bunch of teens having fun. In 2005, a respected man across his town unfortunately passed away, and they have all been grieving for him ever since. His death was so heartbreaking to so many people that it took them years to recover from it, not to even mention his family. Surprisingly though, after taking a deeper look in on the situation, his relatives seemed to be more accepting of his death. I guess they just recovered fast and were good at not being sad because it's over, but rather being pleased that it happened. Well, little did any of them know their time with him was not over.
That's the man come to see me tonight.
Who come to see you at night?
The man.
What man? What man? Up here?
Uh-huh.
He did.
The little girl claimed to have seen a man who in her eyes looked exactly like the man, and this freaked everyone in the kitchen out, and for good reason. They believed that the girl was not having fantasies and that she somehow did come across the old man, but the saddening truth is that they will never know how or why. The following video was filmed in Norway by high school student Magnus, and he was taking his usual route home from school. Walking along the main road took him roughly 20 minutes to get home, but cutting through the forest took him 5, so it was clear that his preferred route would have been the latter. On his journeys to and from school, he always saw a small house in the middle of the forest, and was always keen to check it out because it was very clearly abandoned. He asked his friends if they would come with him, but they all turned down this offer, which did not stop Magnus from going in alone. He thought he would just find some free stuff to steal and be on with his day, but little did he know that what he was about to find was about to terrify him.
Oi, hva? Gamle driten her, da. Faen, ass.
Magnus crept around the house for a bit and wanted to clear the entire building before he decided to start stealing unclaimed property. Eventually, he reached the stairs and took it upon himself to go up them, and it was at the top that an inhumane face popped up out of literally nowhere. This understandably freaked Magnus out, who turned around and sprinted out of the house without a second thought. Don't lie, you would have reacted in the same way. On a Tuesday morning, Samad was in the middle of working on the night when an unexpected obstacle got into his way. Now, this was not the sort of obstacle you would expect to obstruct a human. It was invisible, and I am pretty sure we all know what that means. What is about to happen was caused by a spiritual presence. The time was 4:15 in the morning, and Samad was in the storage unit, which, bear in mind, has never had any reported paranormal activity. There is always a first.
Buenas amigos, bajé porque empezamos a escuchar ruidos y vine a dar una vuelta. Tenía miedo de que estuvieran abriendo la tienda o algo así, pero no. Vean, no hay nada. Ah, cabrón. ¿Sí vieron? No sé qué pasó, pero mejor me voy y le digo a mi esposa porque esta chingadera se movió sola. Ya me está dando cosita. Está muy raro.
Somehow the door opened on its own accord and left Samad completely stunned. Immediately after seeing this, he decided that enough was enough, and he stormed out of the workplace without even locking it up. He received a phone call from his boss whilst he was driving home, telling him to come and have a meeting the next day, which he accepted, but he was going to have a long night ahead of him. When he arrived home, he started getting ready for bed, but out of nowhere, he started to hear a knocking sound coming from the front door. It was repetitive, and Samad assumed it was his boss, so went to open it and check. He had no idea that this allowed the spirit into his house, and things only got worse off from here on out.
Buenas noches amigos, me tocaron la puerta. Este carrito estaba en el sillón, se cayó. Como saben, me duermo a veces en la sala pues porque me siento nervioso. No hay nadie aquí afuera, también he prendido la luz pues para sentirme un poquito más seguro. Se escuchan ruidos, se han escuchado murmullos aquí en el baño. No sé si será de aquí. Como pueden ver, está vacío. Vénganse por acá, vamos a checar si de acá vienen. No, está todo tranquilo, vamos a ver si aquí de la tienda. Aquí dentro de la tienda. Parece que aquí no es. Se vieron acá. Vengan, vamos a ver. No, aquí no son. Vénganse, vámonos por acá. No sé qué está pasando. Mejor vámonos, vengan. Me siento nervioso, vámonos.
When the blue arrow came up on the screen, some sort of shadow figure could be seen ducking behind the wall, as if it was trying its absolute hardest not to be caught on camera. It failed if you could not tell. After this, Samad was completely believing in spirits and drove 17 miles down to his parents' house so that he could sleep with a feeling of safety. But even this place had its frights.
Ese ruido es del techo. No sé qué esté pasando, pero sí me siento nervioso. Vamos a ver. No inventes. Se abrió la puerta. Se abrió la puerta como la última vez. Déjenme calmo. No hay nada. Se abrió la de abajo, Vamos a ver. Uy, otra vez. Es en esta zona. Yo no sé qué está pasando. Uy, los perros.
It had become clear a ghost was following him, and he had no clue how to get rid of it. In the following video, Trevor, a divorced man, was home alone when some strange incident started to occur out of nowhere. It is important to note that prior to this incident, Trevor had never experienced anything that he would consider to be paranormal and was clean as far as spirits were concerned. However, despite his fortunate history, this luck would not last for any longer, and during the peak of winter, Trevor was forced to experience this. All around his house, odd things were happening, and he honestly had no idea how to respond to it all. Other than running around his house trying to catch a break, he did nothing but end up catching more moving objects, and eventually, he got so frightened that he turned off his camera, in case that was the cause. Unfortunately for him though, this did nothing at all, and he was forced to exit the property for a good few hours before deciding he wanted to return. Upon his return, he has yet to experience anything more, which leads him to believe that this was a one-time thing. He sure hopes that he is right. If you heard banging noises coming from your basement, would you go to investigate what caused them? I assume that the answer to that question would be no, because that is definitely the word I would respond with. However, the college student in the upcoming clip called Mason had other ideas. You see, despite being bullied in school, he was brave, and his family knew that he did not let anything affect him. Now, being brave is a great characteristic to have and definitely goes a long way. That is until you get too cocky. This is what Mason did after hearing the knocks.
Okay, this is Julian documenting something that's happened today. I've just came downstairs from studying and drawing all day. No one else has been home, and I just decided to go down and play Zelda in my basement because that's where my Wii is. And when I opened the door, the lights were on, and no one else has been home. So I'm going to record this if anything happens. I'm going to change it so you can see what I see right now. So, this is going downstairs. We're going to see if we can see anything. Oh my god. Light just turned off. Let's see if anything. You know what? Yeah, that was probably just some electrical thing. I gotta go to the light switch. There's only one light switch. It's right here. The bottom of the basement. So. Oh my god. That chair just moved. I'm documenting this. I don't know how that could have happened. I'm a skeptic on this whole subject, so I have no reason. I don't know how to explain that. But I just know I'm going upstairs. If there's anything here, I command you to shut the door. Oh my god. Let me out.
Towards the start of the video, he seemed to be confident and full of life, but as it dragged on, it was almost as if the spirit sucked all emotion out of him. Some items in the basement moved on their own accord, and the spirit actually locked him in there in the end, after Mason idiotically commanded it to. He was trapped, and who knows if he ever escaped. One of the most common scenarios in the clips that we discuss on this channel are ghost hunting adventures, and it is understandable why. These hunters get paid to seek paranormal activity, which means that they are more than brave enough to post their finds online, despite being scolded by the social media community for faking things. The specific ghost hunter that will be displayed in this video was called Roman, and he was known for being one of the best in town. He scoured several towns in search of the paranormal, and often came out with results, and this one was no different. Have a good watch of this clip, and comment if you can discover what the problem was.
Так. Так плохо видно. Ну так более-менее.
As you could clearly see, a snapshot was taken by Roman, and it took me several playbacks to realize what actually happened. Have you locked in what you think it was in the comments yet? I hope so. It was the shadow of the urban legend, Slenderman. It is extremely unnatural for someone's shadow to cast so high when the light is above them, and it is said that when it happens, that is a sign of Slender Man's presence. Obviously, Roman noticed that this was the case, or he would not have snapped this out of the regular free-flowing footage to point it out. The only stupid part was that he kept going, and it is safe to say that he paid the price.
Сейчас, друзья. Ну что?
Despite being a man of pride and sticking around after what happened in the last clip, this was too much for him. Hearing the voice of the spirit was more than enough to tip him over the edge and force him fleeing out of the property. The bonus is that being a ghost hunter, he made some serious dollars from this encounter, so do not worry about him one bit. In this ancient YouTube video, the man behind the camera was attempting to film the scene where a chair supposedly moved by itself. He claimed to have seen this unbelievable phenomenon occur several times when no one else was around, but as you would expect, everybody told him that story was absurd and called him insane to his face. This was his time to shine and prove all of the doubters wrong. He was going to capture the chair in the act, and nothing was going to stop him. Did he end up succeeding? Take a look.
I hear something in the kitchen. The chair.
Somehow, the chair launched itself across the room towards the cameraman, who was startled for obvious reasons. Regardless of this being a common occurrence for him, it was beyond shocking that he captured it on camera on his first attempt and finally had proof. He went on to show every single one of his doubters what we had captured, and all of them were in pure disbelief, not that you would blame them. This teenager was left home alone for an entire weekend by his parents because they were going on vacation. When leaving a boy of that age by themselves for that period of time, you can hardly expect them to be responsible, and the parents accepted the fact that at least something would be amiss upon arrival. However, even they could not predict what actually occurred. It was Friday the 13th of August, 2021, which was a shock coincidence, and the boy was playing on his PlayStation. Little did he know that he had a spectator, and it was not a nice one from the looks of things.
Bro, I'm playing fucking COD, my whole PlayStation turns off, and this door opens up by itself, and it was closed because what the fuck was that? What the And the light's going again. And the light's going again. And right there is the light switches to that light. And guess what else I'm about to tell you? Nobody's home. Oh my God. What the fuck? And the dogs want no fucking part of it. And why is that door open? Bro? It's coming in threes. It's coming in threes. If you don't believe me, nobody's home. There is the notes that my mom left me when they go on vacation. Honestly, I'm fucking scared as hell right now. Lucy is scared as fuck right now too, actually. Oh my God, bro. I really don't want to look behind this fucking door. Oh my God, bro. What the fuck? Bro? Bro. What the fuck is going on here, bro? I gotta get out of here, bro. I gotta get the dogs. I'm out of here. Let's go. Get up now. Get up, Petey. We're going. Bentley, come on. This way. Let's go. I'm done making this fucking video. I don't care about this shit anymore. I gotta get these dogs out of this fucking house. Get out. Bentley, come on. Bro, it's fucking Friday the 13th, too. I just realized I got all the dogs out here. And there's my... Oh my God. Did you guys just see that? Bro! Nah. This ain't a game anymore, bro. This shit is fucked up. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. Did you guys just see that light going off in my house?
For some undiscoverable reason, the spirit started to flicker the lights at maximum speed, and the boy, who was called James, did a full search of the house to prove that nobody else was present. Now that he had gotten that excuse out of the way, it was time to run. He rounded up his dogs like a shepherd herding sheep and took them all out for some well-needed relaxation. This would not be the end of it, though. In fact, he had no idea of it, but this was not the first time he had to evacuate all of his dogs from the building. This next recording was captured by the same guy and took place just 2 days after the last incident. It was roughly 11 p.m. at night when it occurred, and the events that unfolded were extremely similar, leading him to believe that this was the same spirit striking twice.
I don't know what the fuck's going on with these dogs, bro. They're scared of something. Yo, I'm telling you, bro. That's the second time I heard those fucking bells, bro. The second time. The second time. I'm home all the fuck alone, bro. Nobody is home. Nobody. No one is home. Nobody is home. And those fucking bells. What's wrong, Petey? What's wrong? What do you see? You see something? You see something over here? I'm telling you, those bells, I heard them motherfuckers twice. What the fuck is going on? Petey! 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 Petey, what's going on? The TV turned on. The fucking TV turned on. Petey, let's go. Go, Petey. Go. Go out. Go out. Go out. Go. Go out. Go out. Go out. Go out. Go out. What the fuck is going on? What the fuck is going on? What the fuck is going? It turned off. It turned off. Lucy, Bentley, let's go. Bentley, get out. Let's go. Tiberius, let's go. Get the fuck out. Get the fuck out. Get the fuck out. Let's go. Tiberius. Lucy. Oh my God. Charlie, let's go. Come on. Come on, who's home? Come on, who's home? Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Get out. Get out. Get out. Get out. Get out. Get out. Come on, T. Come on. Lucy.
This time around, items around the house were moving, and the boy was not having it for any longer. He evacuated his poor pets again, which took a decent amount of time before walking them to his grandma's for a temporary place to stay. We know that things turned out okay when they arrived home, but the longevity of this safety is yet to be broken. Now, every regular on this channel knows who Roland is, so there is absolutely no point in introducing him. His clips appear on almost every video on this channel, so if you are intrigued by his backstory, make sure to check the other content out. However, for this video, we must focus on what happened in this specific clip, which you will be shown shortly. It took place at roughly 10 AM in Roland's living room, and it is important to note that nobody was home during the incident. Roland was out in his office doing some YouTube-related work, while the rest of his family visited the park, which he was rather disappointed to be missing out on. Regardless, the bills do not pay themselves, but he had no idea that there was another guest who should have been splitting the pay. This guest came in the form of a spirit, and the security cameras caught footage of it shaking around the seating violently. It is unexplainable why this happened even by Roland himself, who is the expert on these kinds of scenarios. He continues to be adamant about staying in his house because he shows no fear towards spirits, but fans sense that it is only a matter of time before he surrenders. Subscribe to watch some more clips from Roland in future. The following video took place by a regular cupboard in a regular house, but the regular status was moments away from being stripped from both of them. The house was ancient, very ancient, but in the 3 years that the current family had lived there, nothing wrong had happened. They settled in quite quickly and felt extremely comfortable in this house until they ordered a cupboard. This cupboard really suited the house aesthetic and was a perfect fit for it. However, if they had known what punch it packed beneath it, I doubt they would have made the choice to purchase it. Take a look. For some unknown reason, a demonic-looking face could be made out on the other end of the drawer, and when the girl behind the camera opened it, nothing remotely similar to the face could be seen. Viewers of the video claim that it was simply a distorted image due to the material of the glass, which it was supposed to be, but the face itself was way too clear to have made sense. Something was haunting that cupboard, and they had no idea what. They took it to their local church the next day, and after around 20 minutes, they determined that it was in fact owned by an ancient family who still haunt it for reasons that the human mind cannot explain. They dismantled the cupboard and placed it in the trash, but this was probably a bad idea. Who knows what revenge those spirits will want after their haunted item has been destroyed. Javier was a man born and raised in Mexico who was very patriotic about his country. He and his brother Antonio were both very similar to each other, sharing many beliefs and hobbies, and one thing they also shared was a haunting. Over the past year, they had both been occupying the same house, and both of them believed that something weird was going on. According to both brothers, things would reportedly move alone, and mysterious noises would echo around the house, nothing that any of them wanted. However, at the peak of these hauntings, something terrible happened. An amazing brotherly bond was broken when Antonio passed away. The doctors had no idea what ended his life, and the only intel was that he was found lying in the basement. They simply pinned it down to old age. Regardless of the reason, Javier now had to face their hardships by himself and just prayed that Antonio would be able to obtain a spiritual form and help him out. He had no idea what would happen, and all he could do was wait and find out for himself. During the hauntings whilst Antonio was still living, Javier didn't recall any physical apparitions, and the fact that he was starting to see them now was rather concerning. The first one seemed to be that of an animal, likely a cat, and it quickly darted across the corridor out of sight. The second one, though, was much more terrifying. It was the figure of a human, and it towered taller than the door frame. This one was in view for a bit longer than the cat, before fading into the shadows. None of these apparitions can be explained to this day. With the introduction of apparitions, Javier was very quick to sell the house. He moved in with his best friend, so he didn't have to sleep knowing that demons were staring at him. But a few days later, he wanted to observe the spirits one last time. He spent roughly $200 on cameras with decent quality and made sure that they covered every angle of the building. Here is some of the movement that they managed to detect.
Se puede ver claro como una figura desdibujada se presenta en la...
Strangely, a select few furniture items started to move as they wished, and it was safe to say that Javier did not regret leaving the facility. It is known that no one has yet purchased the house, and he will struggle very much to find a buyer, whilst it has the haunted label on it. If Javier conducts any more research, I'll be sure to include the clips on one of these videos, so subscribe to not miss it. Now, the following sentence that is about to leave my mouth has been said countless times on this channel, and I am certain it needs to be emphasized again. Dolls are by far the most disturbing and haunted objects on the entire planet. For some strange reason, though, parents continue to funnel all of their money into huge doll collections for their kids, and some of them actually end up paying the price. That was the case for the father in the piece of content you're about to see, Ronald, and it is likely that he will never purchase another doll for his children after such a horrible sequence of incidents.
Yeah, I swear Dad's moving. What the f... No. Yeah. Oh my goodness. No. I'm kind of afraid to go near it. Oh, no. No. I know y'all heard that. And then it looked like something went across the screen. Holy shit.
From moving its body parts as if it was a human being all the way to making disturbing whimpers, whatever was controlling this doll was on a mission to freak out this innocent father. In response to all of this weirdness, he decided to quickly put the doll into a bag and drive it all the way to the tip for its burning. And fortunately, it did not find its way back, despite this being his fear. In the following video, two workers in a small store were discussing their recent problems. The main problem they had to cover was the fact that the store's revenue had dropped by $300 in a singular month, which was obviously a lot of money. In response to this, they came up with the conclusion to lower the prices around the store and were about to start brainstorming when something very out of the ordinary happened. Both workers explained that this event was so odd that they were terrified to tell people in fear that they would be deemed crazy. Regardless, they followed through and published this footage to the internet.
Hacemos este video porque estábamos yo y Anaís ahorita sentados platicando de la pesca. Cuando de repente el aparador de tostitos se sacudió de una forma fuerte. Se habían caído las cosas, habíamos escuchado ruidos atrás, allá en el baño, pero nunca se había sacudido un aparador o algo así.
Ya van varios días que está pasando esto y, ay, la verdad, pues sí está de miedo. Pues como ven, se mira una tienda normal, pero no es una tienda normal. Oh my God, otra vez.
¿Grabaste eso?
Sí.
¿Estás grabando?
Sí, estoy grabando.
No te acerques mucho.
No sabemos qué es, pero...
No te acerques mucho. Vete para acá.
Oh my God!
Somehow, a bag of chips fell to the floor immediately after their conversation ended, and the female worker went to investigate. Understandably, she just assumed that something must have shook to cause them to collapse, but moments later, things became unexplainable. The bag moved itself whilst on the floor. To this day, none of the workers can explain what happened that day, and they both claim that they didn't feel any kind of presence in the room. Does this event truly have any scientific explanation, or was it what we all believe it to be? A ghost? Let me know what you think in the comments. On February the 22nd of 2012, Dwayne decided that he was going to confront the spirit that had been terrorizing him and his family for 2 months straight. Slowly, over time, strange things started to happen in their house, and it progressively got more and more serious, with the most recent incident being a knife getting launched across the kitchen. This knife almost hit Dwayne's daughter, so he decided he was finally going to attempt communication. He could not be bothered forking out money for a Ouija board though, so attempted a different method. Take a look.
Are you evil? Is that a yes or a no? If you're evil, flick the light again. Okay. Whoa.
Surprisingly enough, the spirit actually complied with Dwayne and chose to answer his question to a somewhat honest degree. Instead of lying to him and playing as a casual spirit, it made its intentions clear, and this was odd, to say the least. With this newfound information, Dwayne knew that this was not something suitable for a family household, and drove off to the local church to seek assistance. It was while he was there that the cameras in that same room caught an eventful piece of footage. He was very fortunate that his wife was home to hear all of this commotion, because she was smart enough to quickly spectate the room from the cameras whilst recording it. This footage was not revolutionary, since whatever was in their house moved stuff all the time, but it was nice to have finally documented it and helped a lot in the family's progress of blessing the house, which for your information they have completed. Now this next clip is quite a short one compared to the other ones on the channel, but believe me, there is a lot to talk about from it. It happened extremely late at night at around 2 in the morning and traumatized the victim for life. The event happened 7 years ago, and Alex, the human on the receiving end of the haunting, still keeps his bedroom door open at all times to date, wondering why he has taken things this far. Well, have a watch for yourself.
What the Well, maybe you probably don't know, but the reason why the door stays open is because of the carpet. And lately I've been sleeping with this closet door right here open because I don't want... What the... What the...
Now, if you had your device at low brightness there, then you probably struggled to notice what actually went on. Alex heard a noise from his bedroom door, so he decided to get up and open it to see what had caused it. To his dismay though, nothing was there, at least at first. Moments later, an unsettling figure with no face at all peeked around the door into Alex's room, and understandably, he feared for his life and ran back. On June the 12th of 2023, Sunny was in her house minding her own business when an unexplainable sequence of events decided to strike her. These events were so disturbing and extraordinary that Sunny had no idea how to explain them, and you likely won't either. Have a watch.
Door Please go away. Please go away. You're not wanted. Go away. Whatever you are, go away. Oh my God. I am so scared right now. Please go away. It can't be spooky. Spooky? Psst, 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 psst. Spook? Moo?
For some reason, some peculiar noises could be heard from the other side of the door, and of course Sunny decided to start recording. As she did this, the shadows in the room started to move in an odd pattern, and the door continued to open and close itself. Something was wrong. Thinking logically, she called for her cats in case they were causing all of this, but none of them came to her. Not to mention that when she looked to her left, the cats were sitting right there. Whatever this was, it was likely a spirit, and Sunny fears that room to this day, keeping it forever blocked. Dreams, one of the most interesting things on the entire planet. Not even the most knowledgeable of scientists can explain the purpose of dreaming, and all humans can do is theorize what they truly are. Regardless of those answers though, they are besides the point. Dreams come in many forms, from nightmares all the way to lucid. And in the following video, the dream described by Lexi was definitely a mix from both of those things.
I don't know if you guys can tell, but I'm very fucking shook. I'm about to go to my mom's. I had the fucking creepiest thing just happen to me. So I've never had a dream like this before. And then what happened after is just fucking, I'm about to fucking puke. Like, I actually was like hyperventilating and I had to fucking run out of my apartment because I'm fucking scared. I could tell I was lucid because I can control what was happening and everything was fine. I was like laughing. I guess I was like on Love Island or something. I don't know. We were all laughing, right? So like me and like all the Love Island cast or whatever the fuck. It was just a bunch of random people, right? And we were supposed to be on Love Island. I already said that, but I'm sorry, I'm flustered. So anyways, we were laughing, ha ha ha, everything's fine. I got good vibes, and all of a sudden, they all look at me and they're just lifeless. Like they're like, there's like at least like 30 people in the room, okay? And they all look at me and they're like this. And I got the most sick feeling. And all of a sudden, for some reason, I was wearing this cross in my dream. And that has never happened before. And all of a sudden, I could, like, in my dream, I go like this. And I start to grip my cross. And I'm just like, and then the person that I was talking to, he goes, "Why are you doing that?" And he was just like, "Why are you scared?" And then this is where I knew it was demonic. Because just basically saying that God doesn't exist. He was like, "What do you think he's gonna do for you? Like, you think God even exists? You think he's gonna," and just, I hate saying that, but he was just starting, I was like, this is evil. And so I grabbed my cross and I backed up and I was like, this is evil. Like, this is fucking evil. And I knew it was the devil because in the beginning, it gave me everything that I wanted. Like, okay, so I was on Love Island, right? But it gave me like fame, money, and like just every single temptation that you can think of. And I was like, oh my God, like, it gave the devil, whatever was haunting me in that dream, it gave me
everything that I wanted. And then it was going to tell me at the end that God didn't exist. And I've never like been able to grip this cross in my dream. And I just backed up. And then I started praying to God. And then I felt myself being lifted up. Like lifted. And everything just disappeared. And I just felt myself, like my whole dream just disappearing and me being lifted up. So anyways, I was like, oh my God, like I've never had such a spiritual dream like that. And I was like, that was a test. That was a demon. Because nothing has ever tried to denounce the name of the Lord in any type of dream. So anyways, I went in the kitchen because I was so fucking terrified. And I just said, I rebuke anything in the name of Jesus that is not meant to be in this house. I rebuke anything. And I was like, I was strong and firm, and I got chills all over my body. Right after I said that, I heard 3 knocks on my front door, and I looked outside. Nobody was fucking there. It was late, okay? It was fucking late. And so after that, I was like, oh my fucking God, like whatever I casted out of my house was like, it got casted out. And like, it was like trying to come in my house, but it got casted out.
Demons entering the minds of humans is not a new thing, and reports of this happening have been filed loads. However, the manner in which this one denied God to Lexi's face left her traumatized and completely convinced that this was a test from Satan. Her story ended after she escaped the house, but this wasn't all we would hear from Lexi. In fact, we were only just getting started because just one day later, after re-entering her home, she captured something wild on camera.
Got the cutest little samples yesterday.
She was 100% certain that she was the only person home at the time. Mason was a young teenage boy who had a bright future ahead of him. Although he loved to waste his time playing video games, he was doing very well in college, and his parents were rather proud. However, in the last video on this channel, we discussed something horrible that happened to him. In short, a strange knocking noise lured him into his basement, where he was then trapped by the spirit. It closed the door on him and stood against it so that he could not escape, and this was where he decided to stop recording and to conserve his mobile phone's battery. Shortly after though, some odd things started happening, and Mason wanted to gather as much evidence as humanly possible, so he took out his camera to record once again. What he caught was far from disappointing.
Okay, this is Julie making another paranormal video down here in my basement. I haven't been down here since last time. What was that? Oh, I've heard a lot more noises now, but I try to ignore them. I just want to get this on again to see if anything will happen. Like last time. See how that went down. What we believe the spirit is an infant, because it often hangs around my baby brother and he says he sees it, and also it touches his toys very often. I hear them going on and off all the time. You can see there's no strings on it. Okay, I'm out.
All around the basement, some items started moving, and this was a new sight for Mason. As I mentioned in the last video, he had never experienced anything paranormal before, so did not know how to react. Fortunately, the door opened and he was able to run and escape. Gustavo was a ghost hunter, except unlike the usual ones who try their hardest to find proof of a presence, he actually hunted them. He was paid to banish spirits from all sorts of different places through rituals, purifications, and other things of the sort, and it is safe to say that he was an expert in this field. Regardless of his expertise though, bad things happen, and sometimes they are unable to be prevented. What happened to him in this video was one of those instances. It took place in an abandoned home, and the seller was trying to rid it of all evil entities before passing it on to a new family. They offered Gustavo $2,000 to complete the task, which usually only took up to 5 minutes. This time, it took a lot longer. Take a look. While he walked around the candles, he was muttering the words he usually did to determine whether or not there was an evil entity in the room, and he explained that he discovered there was. Upon this realization, one of the candles went out by itself, which showed that the poltergeist knew it had been detected by Gustavo. This was not good at all. When spirits know that someone is there to fight them, they immediately try to cause as much chaos as possible to scare their opponent off. This specific poltergeist did this to Gustavo, but he was strong enough to take it.
Вот как отхожу. Начинает нормально работать. A weird noise started radiating around the room, and orbs started to float everywhere, which really confused Gus. The most shocking part of this was the fact that the door swung open, though revealing the depths of darkness behind it. Gustavo was not brave enough to go inside. In the following video, a YouTuber known as Legend proceeded to describe the paranormal activity that he had been suffering from to his audience. He explained that it had been going on for 2 months, and he finally gathered the guts to get in contact with a ghostbuster to come and take it out. Unfortunately though, this did not go to plan.
Hi.
Hey, how you doing?
How are you guys doing? I'm Legend.
My name is Kristen.
My girlfriend
Nice to
Desiree.
meet you.
My daughter, Aria.
Are you guys gonna be filming this?
Yeah, is that okay with you?
Just for privacy, I would like at least not to be in it, if that's fine.
Oh, that's fine. Is it okay if you're just pointing at me?
Yeah, that works totally fine.
Okay,
Really
great.
good.
For sure, we'll come in.
Okay, off the bat, there's a really strong and negative force here that does not want me here.
Okay.
No, I don't think you guys understand. Like, it really doesn't want me here, and I don't think I can be here. I really can't come in anymore.
Wait, so you can't do the...
No, I'm so sorry, you guys. It's really bad. It's
Wait, I don't understand. You're a ghostbuster.
I know, I'm sorry, you guys. It's just, I gotta go.
You gotta be kidding me.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
Wait, what? How does...
I don't...
Yo, I need your help.
Tell them to pay her extra.
We'll pay you extra. Wait, she just legit ran.
Maybe it is like an actual like ghost that doesn't want you here.
Yo, what the hell just happened?
Where'd you get her from?
What, from the internet, from Google. That's insane.
I mean, she's obviously...
Yo, there's obviously something here that's so evil that a ghostbuster left.
She's obviously a real ghostbuster if we didn't...
That's a fake ass ghostbuster. What are we supposed to do now?
I don't know. I don't know.
Alright, Legendary, as you guys just saw, the ghostbuster literally ran. And I don't know what to do at this point. Like, who should I call? I've never been in a situation like this, and I'm truly upset. I need to figure something out. Alright, babe. I'm gonna go to sleep in the living room because I am scared as hell to sleep in this room. I don't want another episode of what happened last night to happen tonight.
I mean, I wanna...
Strangely, the ghost hunter did not want to take on the task, despite being offered some extra money to do it. The fact that she turned down a pay rise emphasized that whatever was haunting Legend's apartment must have been extremely evil, and they were forced to continue putting up with it for another day. After such a stressful and tiresome encounter with the ghost hunter, the couple decided to get some rest before searching for a more reliable person to do the trick. However, the wife started doubting that this was the right decision. Perhaps hiring ghostbusters would only annoy the ghost more, and who knew whether or not they would be scammers or not. Reluctantly, Legend saw his wife's reasoning and complied with her. Regardless of their decision though, an incident of which they caught on camera made them double back on their choices. As odd as this may have been, the water bottle slid its way off the table without any kind of force pushing against it. Perhaps they needed a ghostbuster after all, and they are still searching to this day. Jonathan Valenk is the name of a man from Colombia who did, and still does, work in one of his local warehouses for a big company. In his spare time, Jonathan used to run a YouTube channel which was literally his name, and it amassed a small subscriber count of 20 before he decided to quit. However, despite such a low number of people following his social media, one of his videos managed to reach over 1,000 views, and it is pretty obvious why. This video grew concerns for Jonathan and his work colleagues due to how odd it was, and here is what happened.
¿Quién está ahí?
No te tengo miedo. Uy, hijo de puta. No te tengo miedo. Hijo de puta.
For some reason, as Jonathan was recording an update video for his boss and the general group chat of employees, items started moving all around the room and he had no clue how to react, other than to upload the footage to YouTube. The majority of the video's audience fired hate towards Jonathan, accusing him of faking the catch, but there were a select few viewers who gave him their concerns. It was a huge controversy in the comment section and no one could decide which side was correct. This debate was all about to be ended by Jonathan, though, who posted a second clip to his channel regarding this spirit.
¿Por qué haces esto? ¿En qué puedo ayudarte? ¿Qué necesitas? Dime, ¿necesitas algo? ¿En qué puedo ayudarte? Pero no me hagas esto. ¿En qué puedo ayudarte?
This time around, it was opening and closing a locker, and it was an angle which clearly showed there was nothing tampering with it. The majority of the audience turned onto the side of Jonathan, but many still stuck to their guts of this being a cheap saga for subscribers. Let me know which side you are on in the comments. This single mother was sitting in the kitchen with her family when an uncalled-for disturbance came out of nowhere. She had been going through a lot over the past few months with her husband's death, the birth of her third child, and the sudden appearance of a paranormal entity which would not give them any rest. It truly was the all-time low of her life. However, for a week or so, the spirit stopped acting up and the family suffered no paranormal events, truly believing that it was all over. Little did they know that the opposite was the case. Things were far from over. Have a watch.
What the fuck? Leave us alone! Leave us alone. We're not scared of you anymore. Leave us alone. Just sit back down. Sit back down. I'm not waking up the baby for it. This is crazy. Leave us alone. What the? Okay. Okay, that's enough. That's enough. Come here. Come over to me.
The cradle started to swing by itself with the baby inside of it, followed by banging noises and the closing of doors. This acted almost as a jump scare to the family, who had no idea that the spirit was still around, except this time they handled it quite well. They showed no signs of fear and eventually dismissed the poltergeist as if it was not even there, which worked, and forced it to leave them alone. For anyone being haunted who is watching this video, take notes. On December the 3rd of 2023, a delivery driver by the name of Alex had just arrived back at the headquarters. He was actually 20 minutes late, so was kind of nervous to face his boss, who was not going to be very pleased. However, that was about to be the least of his concerns. Jason always knew that this place had an eerie feeling to it, and never really felt comfortable when on site. He could not pin down what the cause was for his life. That was until it showed itself.
Man, I'm trying to tell y'all, these UPS trucks are they're like ghosts, man. You can't trust these things. You gotta be careful, because every time I'm at this place, I freaking hear a bunch of weird, crazy noises. Freaking stuff be opening by itself. So yeah, it's time to go. Y'all think I'll be playing, bro? This will be crazy.
Out of nowhere, something inside the delivery van moved on camera, and Jason immediately knew that it was the act of a spirit. What else could cause such a drastic movement completely undetected? After witnessing this, he went to report it to his boss, who was extraordinarily angry at how late he was. Hence, he took the ghost incident as a poor excuse for his lateness and gave him a pay cut. Unfortunate. In the following video, Joshua was just minding his own business in the living room when all of a sudden something shocking happened. It is important to note that he was home alone during the incident and knew that for a fact, so what was about to happen could not have been caused due to some sort of prank. With that said, take a look for yourself.
Okay, I am completely alone right now, and I just started hearing noise coming from upstairs, so I'm gonna go check it out. I'm so tired of this. So tired of this. What was that? Oh my goodness, this was not like this before. It's not like this at all. Good grief. And the cross is upside down. Oh my goodness.
After hearing the banging noises, Josh took it upon himself to go upstairs and see what was causing the noises, and this is when he was ambushed with evil things. First of all, a bottle was launched at him as he entered the room, which took him very aback. However, this was nowhere near the worst part. For some reason, his cross had angled itself upside down, which led him to believe that he was dealing with some sort of demonic creature. After this realization hit him, he sprinted out of the house to his sister's and regretted his life decisions dearly. Fingers crossed that this does not happen again to him, because this was a first-timer. Most people will experience some kind of loss in their lifetime, and more specifically, the loss of a person that you know. Well, in the case of the next person featured on this video, she had lost her mother, and everybody told her the same thing. She will always be with you in your heart. This phrase really annoyed the poor woman because she thought it was total rubbish, and all it did was make her upset and miss her mother. Little did she know that the people were right, and she was moments away from finding that out. Take a look.
So my mom passed in January. I've been having issues with these lights. They have not been working, but this morning when I came to check the temperature, the switch was up and they were on. These lights have not been working. Okay, well, I'm freaked out by that because I never turned that switch on because I know that's not working. Fine. Well, Mom, can you flash the light if that's you? Mom, can you flash the light back on? Can you flash the light back on? Oh, okay, God. Oh, God.
To To the woman's surprise, the spirit complied with her prompts, which led her to believe that this was her mother, proving that she would always be with her. Bill was an ethics professor at the University of Michigan and had spent more than a decade teaching there. However, he had always loved music and wanted to teach music at a university someday as well. He was an excellent musician. He played the piano, the violin, all types of guitars, and even the cello. However, since he didn't have a degree in music, he was turned down by numerous colleges and universities he had applied to. Then, one day, he found a high school in Texas looking for a band teacher and decided to apply. He didn't expect much, but surprisingly, he got a reply, asking him to resume as soon as possible. The pay was measly, but for Bill, it wasn't about the pay. It was about achieving the dreams he'd always had. Within a week, he was in Texas and had found an apartment that he loved. However, that was when things started getting weird. First, his doors seemed to have a mind of their own, opening at will and closing with a forceful bang once in a while. Bill wasn't too fond of this, but he also didn't want to bother too much until this fateful day.
Okay, everyone. This house is kind of freaking me out. Weird things continue to happen. The other day I put on Facebook about a light in my basement that keeps coming on. There's other things that are happening. Finding things just on the floor. Just things are moving. I know they were in certain places before, and then all of a sudden they end up in another spot. But I'm going to just try to continue my life as I normally would. And so what I've done to help keep my mind off these oddball things, I'm doing something different, and went out and bought a pomegranate. Now, I've never eaten a pomegranate before. So what I've learned is that the first thing you need to do is get yourself a good sized bowl. So I've got a good sized bowl in the cupboard here, and I will get the bowl out. Not this one. I like this one here. This should be perfect right here. So I'm going to put that way back over there. I got a plate here for cutting, and we're going to put these back into the cupboard. Okay. Now, what I've learned about pomegranates is that you don't necessarily eat the meat of it, I guess you call it, like you would an apple, and that's what I always thought you would do, is eat a pomegranate like you did an apple. That's what I always heard they were similar to, but actually you eat the seeds. So you have to pound the seeds out and put them into the bowl, and then from there you can sit there and eat the seeds, and they're actually very good. I've eaten half of one before. I'm going to get the... Wait a minute. Wait a minute. That bowl just moved. Oh my God. It happened again. I had the bowl sitting here. You saw me put it over there, and now it's here. There are some weird things happening around here.
He had decided to make a video to send to his wife and kids, but ended up noticing paranormal activity with the plate he wanted to use to serve his pomegranates. That was when a thought came to mind. He'd set up cameras around the house to pick up any strange activity. It seemed like he was doing too much, but soon his thoughts were proven right.
Okay. I'm arriving home here after doing some running around. And I'm just really curious what kinds of things I'm going to find that have happened in my house while I'm gone. Sort of paranormal type of things. Many of you know that from Facebook postings before, I've had some issues with some paranormal activities. Just really kind of worried about what it is that I'm going to find here in the house now. Actually kind of nervous. Well, so far everything's looking kind of normal. I do kind of smell something though. That's kind of different. Something's kind of spoiled. Not the compactor. Not the refrigerator. It smells like it's coming from this direction. Don't like this door. Hey, let me get some light here. It's definitely stronger over here. God, it smells bad. Okay. Now, nothing in there. It's cold up here too. Definitely smells like, oh God, it's bad. It smells like death itself. Holy cow. Very putrid, like decayed type of smell. Oh. Oh, it's horrible. Oh, this is bad. No, not in that room. Oh, whew. No, it's not coming from this room. No. Yeah, it definitely smells like it's coming from the bathroom here. Oh, this is bad. Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. False alarm. I just forgot to flush the toilet. Sorry everyone. Happy Halloween. Hope you enjoyed the videos I made as much as I've made them. Hope you all don't unfriend me on Facebook, but happy Halloween.
A poltergeist had been messing with his sheet music and doors. Bill decided to call a local priest, who helped him deal with the situation afterward. Father Francis told him that he was lucky. If the activity had continued for a few more months, it might have been impossible to get the spirit out. Charles was a ranch hand at an outback ranch in New Mexico. He loved his job and the lifestyle it provided. It was easy for him to get everything he wanted at the local market, return home, and enjoy the night alone after a hard day's work. He loved riding horses, and he was even learning to ride a bull. But there was one thing Charles was starting to fall in love with more: the bass guitar. He had bought an electric one and was slowly learning to play at home during his spare time. It was during one of those sessions that something extremely strange happened.
was shut. Someone else in here with me.
It was the first time he had experienced such a thing. He was a little scared because he had heard many stories about malevolent spirits who hated the sound of guitars. He did the one thing he knew how to do. He took his rosary, prayed St. Michael's prayer of protection, and sprinkled some holy water under the table. He never had such an experience again. On November the 1st of 2019, a family of 5 were all at rest, enjoying their night. Due to the eldest brother having one of his friends over for a sleepover, the youngest was told to sleep on the couch downstairs, and he did not complain, considering he would be able to watch the television late at night without being caught. Of course, it got to a point where he became too tired, and the child started to doze off. However, something in the corridor stopped him from doing this. Some sort of apparition could be seen in the hallway, and it has been confirmed that this was nobody who was supposed to be there. Furthermore, the fact that it disappeared led the family into believing it was a spirit, which is why they posted it onto social media. Sahill was the star player on his high school basketball team. He was so good that he earned the nickname Steph Curry, thanks to his exceptional three-point shots, as well as his love for chicken curry. His school team was in the state championship, and they were sure they were going to win this year. They had trained through the summer break and had a great chance of winning. In fact, they had won all the friendlies they played by wide margins, and everyone was confident they'd win. However, a few weeks before the start of the games, something horrible happened. Sahill got into a car accident and was unconscious for 2 whole days. The doctor said it was a mini coma, and after some treatment, he seemed fine. But in reality, he wasn't. Sahill's game was off, and he wasn't as sharp as he used to be. However, there was something else that was strange. Sahill had started to see. He began seeing things that seemed out of the ordinary, and they just kept getting more and more real. One time, after late-night practice, Sahill was making a video on his phone and then noticed this. He showed his friends the video, and for the first time, they all saw the same things he saw. It was scary and left every one of the boys horrified. One of the boys, Sanjay, offered to help Sahill. He took him to a video priestess he knew, and apparently, Sahill had been to the great beyond during his 2-day coma, which was why the spirits kept following him. After a long and tedious ritual, Sahill entered another coma for 3 days. Guess what? He actually got better this time. He was back in top form and played remarkably well in the tournament, helping his school win the state championship. After months of trying with no success, Ashley and Mason managed to give birth to their first ever child. They named her Lois after Mason's mother and were very thankful that their long wait was finally over. But it wasn't long before strange things started happening with Lois. She talked earlier than most kids and even began speaking in full sentences much sooner than usual. But there was something much more worrying. She always talked about ghosts.
5 minutes! 5 minutes! We're gonna be back in 5 minutes! I'm not scared. What are you scared of? Alright, before you go, say, Happy New Year! I'm scared. are you scared of? I'm scared. Of what? I'm scared. I'm scared too. Of my own life. My ghost. There's not a ghost, you psycho. Did you hear that? She said she's afraid of the ghost. Where's the ghost? Ghost. Where is it? Where's the ghost? Show mommy. Point to it. You're fine. Where is it? Point. Is it over there? Is it over there? Is it over there? Where is it? Where's the ghost? Where? Is it Grandpa? It's not? What's the matter? Okay, come here. Do you see what I deal with? What happened? See?
The child claimed to have seen a ghost, and understandably, the mother did not believe her one bit. However, after quite a bit of crying, even Ashley started to feel the fear boiling inside of her. Once the video ended, she took Lois to the local cafe so that they could calm down and eat some chocolate cake. But all we can do is hope that this saga did not continue because we received no updates afterwards. Cody was a collector with a few years of experience gathering Native American artifacts, from dolls to paintings to headwear and everything in between. It wasn't extremely lucrative, but it was enough to put food on the table and give him enough time to even have a farm. Cody lived in Wyoming, in a suburban home in Cheyenne, a small apartment that he shared with his dog. On a sunny Tuesday afternoon, Cody decided to visit one of his friends, Sam. Sam lived at the edge of the city and was in the same line of business as Cody. The two had some drinks and sat on the porch, talking about their favorite topic, Native American history. Later, Sam said he was leaving the artifact business to take a job teaching Native American history at a European university. He asked Cody to take care of his stuff until he returned. That evening, Cody packed up most of Sam's artifacts and drove to his house. He arranged the items around his home and went to bed, feeling a bit sad. The next morning, he woke up to loud banging on his door, and his dog was losing it.
My dog's freaking out. I keep hearing, like, knocking at my door. I look out the window. There's nothing. See what I mean? Stay in here, buddy. I'll put them things in that damn cabinet. What the fuck was that? Yeah, I gotta get rid of these damn things. There's somebody that's gonna take one of them. I don't know which one, but...
Cody was a bit scared, but he knew just what to do. He had to find the artifact causing the supernatural activity. He had thought about cleansing Sam's artifacts before bringing them into his home, but he had forgotten since it was already late at night when he arrived. So, he had to go the long route. That day, he set up cameras and went off to his farm to get work done. When he returned, he realized something strange.
What was that? Bro. The whole camera just flew off the shelf. What? Okay.
The camera had been thrown off the shelf by some external force. That evening, Cody reinforced the area and set the camera back up. He caught some strange activity but couldn't quite make sense of it. He went to the living room where another camera had been set up to get some reading done so he could perform the cleansing himself. However, something crazy happened.
God, look, that was captured. Here's the back of the picture. That's not broke. It wasn't fixed or anything like that either. And look, the nail is still in the wall. What the fuck? Damn, that tried to take me out. Shit. Fuck y'all, man.
Right in the middle of reading, a painting on his wall almost took his head off. It had been well placed on the wall, and the string hadn't even broken. Cody was sure this was supernatural activity. He didn't expect it to be this intense, to the point of wanting to kill him. So, he did what he had to do. He ran. He packed up his stuff and slept in a motel that night. The very next day, he called a local priest known for dealing with such things and returned to his house with him. Father Nathan was able to find the particular item causing all the havoc. It was a cursed doll about the size of a mobile phone. Father Nathan got rid of it, and Cody got his life back together again. Ruth was a single mother who lived in Compton and made a living by cleaning the houses of rich celebrities in nearby Beverly Hills. Ruth was hardworking and extremely industrious, but somehow she never had enough money to pay all her bills. One day, while working at a new client's house, she found a stash of $100 bills lying around in an old kitchen cabinet that hadn't been used in a while. She counted them, and it came to $600. The exact amount she needed for her rent that month. She thought long and hard and then slipped it into her sneakers, continuing with her work. Ruth had Latin American roots, so she had heard some horror stories from her grandmother and knew a little Spanish folklore. However, she assumed they were just stories made to scare little kids. It wasn't until she saw a photo of what looked like El Coco, the Spanish boogeyman, staring at her in the dark that she started to get worried.
Hvad fuck, det sådan her. goodbye. Say goodbye.
This was followed by banging noises and weird sounds in her room that continued for a while. She knew what she had done, and she also knew what to do to get rid of El Coco. The very next day, Ruth took the money and returned it to her client, explaining what had happened. Luckily for her, Miss Janice was more than happy to part with the $600, knowing that Ruth would actually use it for her rent. In the end, the strange noises stopped, and Ruth was able to live in peace again. Jude was a janitor in a big hotel in the middle of the city. He had been at the job for a few weeks now, but strange things just kept happening in the hotel. However, there was a law related to the hotel that filled most of the townspeople with fear. Every year, it was a norm for one guest to die after sleeping in the hotel. From year to year, over and over again. It never seemed to stop. The hotel management didn't know what to do about it. Everyone was sure it was something supernatural. There were stories about an old woman who had been forced out of the hotel because she had secretly lodged with a cat against the hotel's policy. She had cursed the hotel before she left, and since then her curse seemed to work. When Jude applied for the job, he was a bit scared, but brushed off the fear given that he needed the money and the curse only seemed to follow visitors to the hotel, not staff. However, he changed his mind one faithful day when this happened.
Allá tampoco hay nadie. No hay nadie allá. Dios mío. Bueno, voy para adentro. La sangre de Cristo me cura. Hola, hola. Hola. Hola, hola, ¿estás acá? ¿Dónde estás? Se prenden las luces. ¿Estás jugando con la llave? ¿Ah? ¿Estás jugando con la llave? ¿Ah? Necesito otra prueba. Necesito otra prueba.
He had heard some noise in the ladies' bathroom and decided to check what was going on. He was being a bit careful since he didn't want to scare any of the women that might be in there. He also checked the IT system that monitored if the stalls were full and which ones were available, but it showed nothing. But then he went in and heard someone flush the toilet and then bang the door so vigorously that it almost fell off its hinges. He had seen a reflection in the mirror, but he wasn't sure what it was, and for some reason, it didn't reflect in his video. Jude ran out of the bathroom scared to his wits that day. The very next morning, he walked in with a letter of resignation and never came back. Cody had just finished college and decided to move out of his parents' house. In fact, he decided to move to a whole new city instead. He had chosen to move to Albuquerque, Texas. The plan was to live there while he looked for an online job. It was a cheap city to live in and he didn't need to spend so much while waiting to land his dream job. He was a developer and had dreamt of working with Google. Cody had to pick one of the cheapest places he could find in the area. An old apartment that cost a few $100s per month in rent had popped up and he paid for the place. It was moderately furnished. All he had to do was get a proper desk and set up a proper workplace. However, something was strange about the house. There was an eerie feel to the space. Cody wasn't sure what it was, but somehow it just gave him the creeps. Joey decided he'd stick around for a few months and just move out when he found a better place, but in the meantime, he needed to get to work. A few weeks passed, and Cody started getting comfortable with the apartment. It wasn't so bad after all, or so he thought, until one fateful day when he was making a selfie video to send to his friends, the strangest thing happened.
You still there? Still here? Still here? Are you still here? You still here?
He's still here. Still here. Still here. Still here. Can you go? Leave? Leave, go. Disappear.
He saw a chair in the dining area literally defy the laws of physics and move on its own. He moved close to it to find out what was going wrong. He picked up the chair and was about to walk away when his phone switched off on its own, and then the chair fell again. Cody had to go look for a motel to sleep in that night. The next morning he came in, packed most of his stuff, and went back to stay with his parents. Brahimi was a 20-year-old tuk-tuk driver who lived in a small Indian town, Datia. He had always wanted to move to the big city and make a name for himself, but he just wasn't given that opportunity. He had dropped out of primary school and never really had any more education after that. Brahimi focused on trying to make enough money to move to Mumbai while driving his tuk-tuk. He wakes up early in the morning and comes back really late every night just to make sure he saves up enough. He even went as far as pasting his phone number all over the city to get people to call him for pickups and personal deliveries. One day, he gets a call to come to an address just on the outskirts of the city. When he got to the house, he was somewhat scared. He thought of turning back, but he knew the money he was going to make was worth it. It was his biggest offer in a long while. He knocked on the gate, but it was already open, so he just walked in. He stood around for a while, and then he started hearing a noise from what seemed like a kitchen. He intuitively walked towards the noise and saw the wildest thing he had ever seen in his life, a full-blown poltergeist in action.
Assalamu alaikum, margaro data su goreha. Parana urzamu karda al data su goreha. Ya Allah khair do goreha. E won lu khirarta wal ya Allah khair. قل أعوذ برب الناس ملك الناس إله الناس من شر الوسواس الخناس الذي يوسوس في صدور الناس من الجنة والناس. يا الله خير خدايا يا الله خير دو غوري مرګروخه یا الله خیر یا الله خیر یا الله خیر پرانا ورځ د زم کرالی ښه مونږ دا کورسو پیری د کوسو پیری او دا علی یا الله خیر یا الله خیر یا الله خیر خدایا خیر.
The spirit in the kitchen was just too violent. Brahimi somehow managed to video the whole incident and then ran off afterward. The number that called before called back, but Brahimi was too scared to speak, so he got into his tuk-tuk and never turned back. The experiences tainted him for a long time. In fact, he changed his line and threw the old one away. It was almost 6 months before Brahimi went back to riding his tuk-tuk again. Dylan's favorite holiday was Halloween. He had always loved it as a kid. Maybe it was because of how much he loved candy, or that orange was his favorite color, or the fact that he got to dress up as whoever he wanted. He was a grown man now, 32 years, with 3 kids, but still he loved Halloween a lot. However, this year's Halloween was a little different for him because he had one of the craziest experiences with the supernatural. Here, take a look.
Gracias. Se pirata se accidentó.
His 3-year-old Brian was jerked by an unseen force right out of nowhere. The kid was surprised and never really recovered from it. This event reminds Dylan of Brian's baptism, 8 days after he was born. The priest had told Dylan that Brian was born to experience the supernatural. Dylan didn't see it as much at first until now. After this incident, he took little Brian back to the priest, who gave them a small blessed crucifix for Brian's protection. Marco had been living in his 2-room apartment for about a year now, and nothing out of the ordinary had ever happened before. It was a regular old apartment in a regular city suburb. He loved the city. It was quiet, it had great places to visit, and he also had great friends. One of those friends was Lois. They had gone to the same high school together and lived not very far from each other. Marco and Louis were best buds, but there was one thing Marco didn't exactly like about Louis. Louis was always up to some strange thing. He always talked about rituals that would make you attractive to women, or stuff he did to make sure he never got sick. It was not Marco's thing, but he didn't mind much anyways. One day, Louis asked to use Marco's space for a meeting with some friends, and since Marco was out of town on official duty for a few days, he was okay with it. Unfortunately for Marco, it was after this so-called meetup that Louis had in Marco's house that things changed. Marco's house became a hub for supernatural activity. It got so bad that he had to get an EMF meter.
De novo não, velho. De novo não, de novo não. Sempre esse telefone tocando, mano. Entre esse horário, velho. Alô? Quem é? Quem tá falando? E galera, tipo, é sempre esse horário. É como se alguém estivesse do outro lado da linha, respirando de um jeito muito estranho, sabe? E não fala nada, mano. Eles nunca falam nada. Ó, vou mostrar pra vocês. Olha isso. É sempre esse horário. Entre 2h30 e 3 horas da manhã. Eu escuto como se fosse, tipo, alguns passos nesse taco. Tipo assim, sabe? De vez em quando a porta bate. Mano, eu não sei o que fazer, velho. Puta, eita, uma aranha ali. Caramba. Que isso, gente? Que porra é essa, velho? O que tá acontecendo, mano? Vocês viram, a TV ligou sozinha, velho. Tô vendo uns barulhos muito estranhos ali fora, velho. E a TV tá ligando sozinha, mano. Eu não sei o que fazer, mas... Que isso, mano? Que isso, velho? Que porra é essa, mano? Mano, eu sei, velho. Que isso, gente? O que tá acontecendo? Isso, velho.
His house always had something going on. It was either random calls, or the lights flickering, or some weird noises coming from outside. Finally, after a few weeks, Marco confronted Louis about this, and he confessed. Louis had had from fellow supernatural lovers over, from ghost hunters to exorcists and everything in between, they had stayed at Marco's house. Louis promised to help him get rid of whatever spirit that was doing all the crazy stuff. The next day, Louis came with a priest friend of his and did a thorough exorcism of all kinds of spirits and principalities, and afterwards, Marco had his house back to normal again. Max and his friends were hanging out in his house when one of them, Sarah, caught this on camera. Right there over his shoulder, we could see a spirit move over him and seem to take something. Sarah thought it was strange and showed the video to Max and the other guys. They talked about it and just let it slide. They thought maybe it was a faulty camera, the wind blowing the curtain over as the video wasn't very clear. Tragedy struck the next day when Max passed out the very next day and was rushed to the hospital for treatment. Everyone was a bit scared because Max had never been sick all his life. He was probably the healthiest among them all.